Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a really captivating story straight from our source material. It's called The Rainy Night Blessing, a tale of honesty versus greed. And it's all about business, integrity, and, well, karma. So let's meet Madhav. He's a struggling street food vendor, and he's out there pushing this worn-out wooden cart toward the village crossroad on what is just an incredibly threatening, stormy night. The wind is howling, the lightning is crashing all around him, and honestly, his life is about to change in ways he could never, ever have anticipated. We're going to break down exactly how this entire journey unfolds, and more importantly, what we can learn from it.
There's this incredibly powerful quote from the story that says, "No matter how heavy the rain, if your intentions are strong, the sun will inevitably rise." Now that's not just some comforting cliche, it's actually the absolute core of the journey we're about to explore today. Keep that thought right in the back of your mind as we watch Madhav navigate some truly immense challenges. It perfectly sets up this classic battle, doing things the right way for the long haul versus giving in to those dark, short-term temptations.
So picture this. Dark clouds are looming overhead, there's a leaky roof back home, and Madhav is standing there with a completely empty wooden cart. He's in the pouring rain, and he has made zero sales. Nothing. A passerby named Burju even tells him, "Hey, pack it up, go home before you get sick." But Madhav is just terrified of going back empty-handed. You see, his wife, Sumitra, is waiting for him. She's desperately hoping he brings back enough grocery money just to light their stove. Meanwhile, they literally have to place pots and pans on their bed just to catch the water leaking through their fragile roof. It's really just a picture of pure, heart-wrenching desperation.
But then, everything changes. We hit the turning point. Right as he's about to throw in the towel and pack up at 8 p.m., this huge car comes splashing through the mud and is forced to stop. Inside are these wealthy city travelers. They're stranded because the road ahead is blocked, and they are absolutely starving. So Madhav steps up. He quickly fires up his stove and serves them fresh, piping hot, buttery pav bhaji. If you don't know, it's this incredibly aromatic mashed vegetable curry served with butter-toasted bread. And these travelers, they are completely blown away by the quality. They even mention it's way better than anything they've had in fancy city hotels.
Well, this single act of service leads to a massive, life-changing reward. The wealthy traveler, referred to in the story as the Sahab, is so overwhelmingly impressed and grateful that he hands Madhav a massive tip, 2,000 rupees. Now, to put that into perspective for Madhav, he didn't even have change for a fraction of that amount. Holding that single note made him feel like the richest man in the world. He literally touched the money to his forehead in deep gratitude, realizing that this was the exact miracle he needed to feed his wife and survive the week.
But of course, no good story is without a little friction, right? Enter Rajesh. He pretty much embodies the very definition of jealousy. You know, that destructive, toxic emotion you feel when someone else achieves success. Rajesh is a local grocery owner with what the source material perfectly describes as a small heart. He secretly watches Madhav's massive windfall from the shadows, and instead of being happy for a hard-working, struggling neighbor, he is just consumed by pure, unadulterated envy. He simply cannot stomach the idea of a poor street vendor making that kind of money, so he immediately starts plotting.
Rajesh's calculated sabotage ramps up really fast. First, he starts spreading these nasty, totally baseless rumors that Madhav uses rotten vegetables and dirty rainwater. And when that isn't enough to ruin him, he crosses the line into actual, physical sabotage. He plans to hire local thugs to plant stones in the food to cause a huge public scene, and ultimately, he wants to open a cheap copycat shop to just steal the business entirely. He kicks this whole thing off by literally standing near Madhav's cart in the rain, shouting fake accusations at the top of his lungs to scare away anyone walking by.
Which leads us to a really critical question. Are Rajesh's malicious rumors actually going to destroy Madhav's livelihood? The tension in the source material here is palpable. In a small village, you know how it is, rumors spread like wildfire. And the villagers, hearing these loud lies, actually believe Rajesh. They take a step back and completely avoid Madhav's cart. Poor Madhav is left heartbroken, completely empty-handed, and so confused as to why his honest, meticulous work is being dragged through the mud. For 2 excruciating hours, he just sits there, isolated in the rain.
But right when it seems entirely hopeless, the wealthy travelers return, and this time they brought friends. The Sahab and his wife show up with 3 or 4 cars packed with people from the city. Actually, the wife loved Madhav's cooking so much she flat out refused to cook at home. When they arrive and hear the village rumors about the food making people sick, they just laugh it off. They announce to everyone that they ate it and feel more refreshed than ever. That incredible, undeniable word of mouth completely shatters Rajesh rumors right then and there. The villagers instantly apologize and line up to get some food.
So, moving on to upgrading the dream and moving to a rented shop. Thanks to this absolute boom in daily business, Madhav and Sumitra finally save enough money to escape that leaky roof once and for all. The village headman recognizes Madhav's hard work and helps him rent a permanent shop right at the main crossroad. But Rajesh? Yeah, he's still not done. He was actually invited to the opening out of goodwill, but he refused to show up. Instead, on opening day, chaos strikes. Rajesh's hired thugs arrive, purposefully drop a plate of food on the floor, and just start screaming, "Are you trying to make us sick? There are stones in this food." It is a highly calculated, dramatic scene designed specifically to ruin Madhav's grand opening, cause a massive panic, and destroy his hard-earned reputation permanently.
Now this is where the story gets truly fascinating. Enter Head Constable Raghuvir Singh. He just happens to be eating at the shop in plain clothes with his wife. He steps right into the middle of the chaos with this booming voice and acts like a seasoned detective. He picks up the stone from the dropped plate and inspects it. His brilliant Sherlock-style deduction, he points out that there is absolutely no masala, no curry sauce sticking to the stone whatsoever, so logically he concludes the stone had to have been dropped in after the food was served. He forces the terrified thugs to confess in front of the entire crowd that Rajesh paid them, which instantly clears Madhav's name.
Which brings us to the price of greed and Rajesh's copycat shop. Defeated publicly but still driven by intense envy, Rajesh executes his final, desperate move.
He goes ahead and opens his own rival pav bhaji stall right nearby, bringing in his helper Kalu to run it. And this rivalry is just the perfect showcase of the ultimate business battle, quality versus greed. Madhav uses fresh vegetables that his wife carefully sources every single morning, and he uses expensive, high-quality butter because he respects his customers. Rajesh, on the other hand, just wants to maximize his profit margins by cutting literally every corner possible. He uses stale, cheap vegetables, cheap dalda ghee, which is basically a low-cost, inferior fat, and then he loads the dish up with extra chili powder just to mask the terrible, stale taste.
Well, as you can probably guess, the consequences for taking those shortcuts are swift and severe. The pawn shot shuts him down. See, people initially went to Rajesh because his prices were cheaper, but within just 2 days, his customers get severe food poisoning. The village council steps in immediately, slaps Rajesh with a massive financial fine, and permanently shutters his business. His greed completely backfired on him, leaving him with a ruined reputation, total public disgrace, and a completely empty wallet.
Meanwhile, just look at Madhav's incredible progression over time. Years ago, he was stranded in the pouring rain with a broken-down wooden cart. Months ago, he upgraded to a rented shop. And today, he runs a massive highway family restaurant. A city newspaper actually wrote an inspiring article about his unwavering honesty, which caught the eye of a wealthy city businessman. They partnered up, combining the businessman's capital with Madhav's amazing culinary skills, and turned Madhav's humble little recipe into a booming, luxurious highway enterprise. And this brings us to the real emotional climax of the story. Madhav is now a wealthy, highly successful man living in a beautiful brick house. One day, he sees Rajesh sitting outside his old, dusty, closed-down shop, completely broke and deeply depressed. But instead of gloating or laughing at him or seeking revenge, Madhav walks up and offers him a job as a store manager at his new hotel. Rajesh is just stunned to his core. He looks at him and says, "I tried to ruin you and you are offering me support? I promise to work with complete honesty." Madhav's pure heart and willingness to forgive completely won over his greatest enemy. So, I want to leave you with a final, provocative question to think about today. Does your daily work reflect Madhav's pure intentions or Rajesh's shortcuts? This story so brilliantly illustrates that while jealousy and greed might look like a really quick path to profit, it's actually integrity, resilience, and genuine hard work that build lasting, unshakable success. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll let you reflect on that powerful question.